believe that Moses was raised, because he was raised by his mother, even though he was the prince of Egypt, within the concept of this Hebrew mindset. And then as Moses approaches and leaves Egypt and becomes, now a married man, and he marries a priest of Midian, and with his father-in-law Jethro, I believe that also kind of just flows into this understanding of who God is. But the moment he encountered God, because we're talking about connecting with God, when he moved from simply believing to actually engaging God, something happened. And you know what the conversation was? Go to Pharaoh. Here's the point. Go. And I'm just trying for us to understand that if we have connected with God, if we have engaged others in community, the command is to go. As a church, we're called to go. When you think about Isaiah chapter 6, see the uniqueness of the book of Isaiah, because typically the conversion of these prophets is always given at the beginning of the book. If you read Ezekiel, you read Jeremiah, they have been converted or encountered with God chapter 1. This one, for some reason, begins on chapter 6. But the conversion with Isaiah, where you have these angelic beings with six wings, remember the story? That they will use two to cover their face, two to fly, and then cover their feet. The whole conversation, what's the end of the conversation? Once Isaiah saw the glory. See, Isaiah comes and says, listen to the language. Isaiah says, woe of me. Because he faced the glory of God. And here's the conversation. What does God say? Who should I send? Who is supposed to go and preach? And Isaiah says, here I am. Send me. So every single experience you think about encountering with God, encountering the presence of God, please listen to me. As you gather this morning here in this place, I am hoping that we can embrace this because we're called to go. Number 2, here we go. As we look into this verse number 1, on your handouts, we talk about the going, go. Look at the second thing. Now that you go from your country, you go from your people, you go from your father's household, you go to the land I will show you. What does that imply? Here we go. Glad you asked. When you connect with God, you will win the world. Now, please listen to the language, because I know we have some language barriers. I know there might be some grammatical confusion, but let me put it to you very simply. I am not speaking of you winning in the world. I'm speaking winning the world. Why? Because once you look at the model of Jesus Christ, you always win by subtraction with Jesus. If you want to be the first one, you're going to be the last one. If you want to be the greatest, you're going to be the servant of the group. And I'm bringing this up to you because this is where you have to look at the language of what is happening. This is the moment where you understand that Abraham is challenged to go, but as you go, you cannot go with the best of both worlds. You have to lose some things so you can go. You have to leave behind your country. You have to leave behind your people. You have to leave behind your father's household. Ultimately, you will have to, watch the language, guys, watch the language. You're going to have to trust me. So here's one thing that I have conveyed to you Sunday after Sunday after Sunday for 2 years, and I'm going to say it one more time. The very same trust that you and I needed when we first became followers of Jesus is exactly the same trust that you and I need to live life like a follower of Jesus. I'm bringing this to you because once again, once you move from trusting to basically self-dependence, once you move from going to simply saying, well, I believe in God, once you go into this philosophical argument, whether you want to argue any point of the Bible or argue your condition in life, I'm just asking you right now, the moment that you go from encountering God to going, trust me when I'm going to tell you, you will learn to trust in God. And I'm just here to tell you, most people around us, they are struggling to believe in God. They're struggling to embrace the gospel because they don't see a generation of Christians who are going. They see a generation of Christians who have believed in God in the past, but now they're trusting self-centeredness. We have a generation of Christians, churches in today's culture, that they have put their faith in Jesus. I do not question your salvation. We put our faith in Jesus, but now watch this, we embrace the gospel in the past with the purpose not to take risk in life. We embrace the gospel in the past so Jesus can be a Democrat just like me. We embrace the gospel in the past so Jesus can bless my agenda. See, we embrace the gospel in the past because we approach life with what's in for me. And I'm just telling you, listen to the language of the conversation between the encounter with God of this pagan priest. It's basically saying, you gotta go, man. No looking back. Stop wondering. Stop trying to put things into your own understanding. You gotta go. And by the way, as you go, you gotta lose some things. You're gonna lose some things. So here's the question that we have before us this morning. What is it that we're holding on that is making us, that is forcing us not to go? What is it that we're supposed to do that we're not doing and we're still kind of tempering with it? And here's where it gets really, really crazy. And again, I'm the first one to tell you, I am not against prayer. I'm not against you coming into this place to worship God. But I told you from day one, whether it's prayer, whether it's worship, whether it's faith, and then based on last week, relationships. Please listen to this one. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. The issue with prayer, the issue with worship, the issue with faith, the issue with relationship is not about praying, worshiping, having faith, or relating to one another. It's about the object of your prayer, the object of your worship, the object of your relationships. Are you tracking on this? Okay, let me put it to you in common language for all of us to understand. One of the conversations that I unfortunately have almost on a weekly basis, either in my office or just talking to people all over the place, is this. And typically are the ladies. So please listen, ladies. I'm not picking on you. Just the Sunday. So just hang on, okay? They have some marriage issues. See, what I'm about to tell you illustrates when you make the means the end. When you focus on prayer versus the object of your prayer. When you focus on worship versus the object of your worship. Listen to this. Ladies will come to me and say, Pastor, I'm going through this, and that. And it can be marriage or it can be children, whatever the case may be. Or even sometimes with parents. And there's some sense of dysfunctionality, abuse, neglect, whatever the case may be. But specifically marriage. So you may have a lady who is dealing with a husband who is fill in the blank. And here's the question. What do I do? How do I deal with this situation? And my answer is always the same. I always tell them, if you're going to make the goal, the object, not the relationship, but why you got married, the object, which is the essence, the presence, the glory, the character of God, you need to treat your marriage the way you will treat your pastor. If you knew that I was doing some unethical things, if you knew that I was doing some sinful things openly before, whether it's pornography, whether it's whatever, are you following me? You wouldn't put up with that. I hope in the church that you will call your leaders out and say, hey, we found out that you are fill in the blank, right? But for some reason, when it comes to marriage, ladies just tolerate and tolerate and tolerate and tolerate until they get fed up and then they get divorced. But they never act upon this. Are you following me on this? See, that's when you make the relationship the goal versus the character of God through the relationship. Because if the goal is the presence of God, is to be connected with God, you as a lady, you as a mother, see, I always tell parents, rebellion happens in the home because you give the option. I never rebelled, not because I'm better, because I'm from a different generation. You know why I didn't rebel when I was a child? Because nobody gave me the option. My dad looked into my eyes and said, son, that's not an option. And that was the end of the conversation. I think a lot of rebellion happens because we make an option. So listen to the conversation. You have to lose some things if you're going to actually go. You have to lose some things so you can actually go. Listen to the third one, and here's where we close. The Bible says in verse 2 and verse 3, I will make you, after you have after you have lost some things, I will make you into a great, what's the word? Nation. You're going to remember the context. The context is a barren wife by the name of Sarai. Sarai has no ability to have children. They're up in age, and God says, I will make of you a great nation. And this nation, through this nation, I will bless you. And I will make your name great. And it was through you that you will be a blessing. So here's the closing of the conversation. It is through you that I will bless you, those who bless you. And then whoever curses you, I will curse. And watch this, guys. Watch this. Here's where the universality of the gospel comes. Here is where you're going to remind yourself that if you are a follower of Jesus, if you are in this place and you have believed in Jesus Christ, the result of your salvation, please listen to my language, not the evidence that you are saved, because I believe you can fake evidences, but I believe the result of your salvation is that you understand that God saved you to save me. God did not save you because He just simply wants you in heaven. Although I believe He's got your picture on His refrigerator. So you're special, but you ain't that special. See what I'm saying? Listen to the language. Then all the peoples on earth, this is at the bottom of verse 3, all the peoples on earth will be blessed. Watch this, please. Listen. I'm going to close my time. Verse 2 is nothing else but a start all over again. I gave you at the beginning 11 chapters what God originally wanted for verse 2 to be the reality. But by chapter 3 of Genesis, you do not know the story. You go through the first narrative of the creation story, chapter 2, creation story, chapter 3, hell literally breaks loose. Remember the story? Rebellion comes into place. Adam and Eve, serpent, rebellion, and sin entered the world. So it's going to go from chapter 3 of Genesis all the way up to chapter 12 of Genesis for God to push the restart button and through this man to start over again. And basically say, I want to give a new, brand new beginning to humanity. And I'm choosing you, Abraham, to choose many. So this morning, as you think about the engaging with God, you connecting with God, you connecting with others, you bringing relationships between the Lord, you understanding that if this is going to go, it's going to work, you have to go, and as you go, you have to lose. As you move, you have to put things behind. God is embracing a brand new beginning for our church. We need men and women that needs to move from simply believing in God to actually embracing the reality of the gospel by going. And at the same time, losing things. There is no irony in the Bible that once you go into chapters 13 and 14, the first thing that this guy does, Abram, he goes and questions whether God is capable. And he goes and lays with a serpent and brings forth a child by the name of Ishmael. And he's a deceiver. See, Abraham is a deceiver. He lies about the wife in Egypt. Remember the story? See, Abraham is the type of priest that you would have never called to be your pastor. You look at his resume and say, out. It doesn't fit. And that's what God chose, right? But the beauty of the story is verse number 3. Because the Bible says, Abram, through you, all peoples on earth will be blessed through your seed. Yes, I'm going to give you real estate, a piece of land. I'll give it to you. Yes, I'm going to create a people's group. Yes, but the real conversation, the whole thing, where the beauty of this whole conversation comes into place is the seed that eventually comes through a virgin. And his name is Jesus. So today, as you think about going, as you think about putting things behind, let me just invite you to remind yourself. Why you go and why you put things behind is not because it's the right thing to do, although it's the right thing to do. Why you go and And why you put things behind is not because it's doctrinally, morally, and ethically correct. Why you go and why you put things behind, why today is a brand new beginning. It's because what God said thousands of years ago became a reality through Jesus of Nazareth. And today, you have an opportunity to go. Today, we have an opportunity to move forward as we leave things behind. For some of you today, this reality might potentially be the first step of trusting Jesus for the first time. For you to understand that believing in God is not enough. Believing in God is the beginning of the journey, but as you believe, He needs to also embrace you. And this clashing, this coming together requires for you to make a step and take a step of faith and trust in Jesus. Some of you are still holding on to your core values and what Mama and Grandmama told you. And I love that Mama and Grandmama told you some things. But at the end of the day, it's about how you and I, as we go, watch this, as we go, is for us to be a blessing to the nations. For us to be the place of redemption. That your conversation, as you look around, as you engage family members, as you engage co-workers, as you engage a brand new generation coming behind you, or maybe two generations that are coming behind you, you become the catalyst of salvation. Church,